So coming up this Friday, I was just saying that we are going to be having our lunch our breakfast actually at Frederick, Maryland, and in that breakfast we are going to be talking about a product called Galaxy Key that helps out with messaging and encryption and preventing your data from being lost and being easily accessed for your communication. So to talk about that and to explain what's going on with that, why that's necessary, why we need that, I thought I would bring on our cybersecurity solutions director, Chris May. Chris May's with us now. I'm going to go ahead and bring him up. Chris, could you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about what you do at Advantage Technology?
Hey guys, Chris May with Advantage Technology here. I am our Security Solutions Director, which is a fancy way to say I handle all of our cybersecurity and even physical security around advanced camera systems with AI tracking and things like that. Um, Help people to design an overall plan around cybersecurity so we go about it the right way, not haphazardly. Everything beginning with good policies and procedures to set the groundwork all the way through actual tools, services, and even full-scale security operations center to keep ourselves and our clients safe.
Now, Chris, you are actually up in Frederick right now, right?
I am. I'm in Frederick, Maryland as we speak. If you can't tell, I'm sitting in an Airbnb here downtown. It's our newest location for Advantage Technology. It continues to grow. We expect to have a bigger presence here over the next few years. We're only about 50 minutes outside of DC, so you can imagine what the activity's like here in Frederick.
Tell me a little bit about what you've been up to up there. I think you mentioned to me that you were at some conferences, you were doing some presentations. Tell me a little bit about what you're up to up there.
Well, like everybody else, there's a huge shift going on right now in the business community around information data protection. People are finally starting to realize how challenging it is. They're starting to see things on TV, on the news about ransomware and other cybersecurity incidents. And so we've just gotten a lot of questions here. We've got a lot of businesses that are moving from DC and Baltimore out of the city due to very high rents, not as many people in office, and they're moving out into smaller cities and towns like this. And they have a lot of questions as they go remote and put a lot of these workers remote that used to be in office on in office connections. So there's been a lot of education and training around that, getting people to understand what the new workforce looks like as they move around. We call it out in the wild, right? They're no longer tethered to a desk. And so just really trying to educate people around that and bring some good insight to bear on what this new workforce looks like.
Now, what does it matter? I mean, if I've got my phone, I can text somebody. That's going to whoever I'm sending it to, right? If I send an email, it's just going to whoever you want it to. Why do we have to do any kind of preparation around these types of messaging?
Well, it sounds simple in theory, right? I just hit a button and it goes out into cyberspace, and we're all so used to it now we don't think about it. But the problem is who's out there to intercept these communications over the air, right? Are you doing it on public Wi-Fi, which may have no password and no security, or may have a password that they gave to a million people as you're moving through an airport or a hotel or a coffee shop? Are you doing that on a cellular connection, which inherently may be safer than those Wi-Fi connections? Are you using secure messaging platforms? Are you using some old email system that's made for personal email, like a Yahoo or a Hotmail for business? Or are you using an actual system that's encrypted and has your data protected? There's a lot of ways to send data, but you can imagine if you took a paper airplane and threw it across the room and you wrote all your secrets on it, and you did that in a coliseum, who might have a chance to grab that? How different if you took a safe and put your secrets in that and handed it to somebody to carry across the room, and then only that person had the combination. That's the difference today in how we send things over the air and across the wire.
And we're actually going to be talking about that in some detail on Friday, right, with our Galaxy Key breakfast event.
Absolutely. So Galaxy Key is an interesting company. As you can imagine, being an IT and cybersecurity solutions company, we have some bigger partners in the space that do some very specific things. And one of the challenges that our clients had for years was around full encryption and full data protection, right? As I said, we don't want to be sending things like HIPAA data, protected health information, personally identifiable information. We don't want to send those things in a clear text where people can see those. And it's a challenge we had for years and that we were able to solve, but we had to solve it with many different tools and many different solutions, right? One thing for email, something else for secure messaging, something else for file sharing. It became very obvious to me that it was going to be more cumbersome over time to keep using a multitude of apps and products for this. We came across Galaxy probably about 2 years ago. And that's what we're going to be talking about on Friday. And Galaxy really is data protection for the small business through enterprise, right? And the beauty of it is they've taken enterprise data protection and brought that down to make it accessible to small and medium business. A lot of times your data is not as safe as you think it is. And we really have to get the mindset that everybody's trying to take something from us. So we'll lock down our internal servers, we'll lock down our internal encryption, we'll make sure that everything we've got that sits on our storage is encrypted, but then we just send it out in the open and clear text. And Galaxy Key really is here to solve that challenge of how we move data and how we move it in a secure manner through full end-to-end encryption, different levels of identity-based encryption, so you can protect all the data and communications even when you leave your own network. And so even if the data would fall into the wrong hands, if you hold the encryption keys, nobody's able to access that data, and it stays protected and private and holds up to the CAI triad that we look at, which is confidentiality. We want to make sure we have integrity of the data, and we want to keep it available. And Galaxy actually helps to hit all three of those security points.
Now, Galaxy is a European company, right?
They are based out of Jersey. When you hear Jersey, everybody thinks New Jersey, but it's actually uh, over in the Channel Islands, over off the coast of England, is where they're based. The reason that they're based there is they have the probably arguably the world's strongest data protection regulations there, right? So you imagine a company that's all about encryption and data protection and identity protection, based in a company that based in a country that has some of the strongest data protection laws in the world. They do a lot of work in the Middle East, um, for some of the major airline carriers, government agencies into Europe. The UK is where they've really built their initial markets. A lot of this was driven by GDPR, which is a general data protection rule that applies in Europe around how you protect people's personal data and information, how that's transmitted and stored. But we've seen such a rise in the same type of challenges that it solves in the U.S. that it was only natural that they move into this market, and we believe they're a company that's really making a lot of not just waves in this space, but they're actually securing data information very well.
Now, as far as data privacy, data protection, that type of thing, the Europeans are pretty far ahead of America on that type of stuff, aren't they?
Light years ahead, honestly. As far as you and I are concerned, and people may think, well, what does that matter? I don't run a big business. Actually, the General Data Protection Rule, or GDPR as it's known over there, applies mostly to your personal information. So if I live in one of the countries that has GDPR, I can reach out to any company that has my data and say, I want you to scrub and release all that data now. I want it to be destroyed. I want you to send me copies of what you had, and I don't want any data to be retained on myself for any longer than this. So the consumer, the end user of their personal information, now personally has control.
Awesome. Well, Chris, we're coming up against our time here. Believe it or not, it's already been 10 minutes, and we're going to have to cut things off so that, LinkedIn will kick our video off if we go over 10 minutes.
Right.
So we're going to pop this over on LinkedIn for everybody to watch, and make sure that you have the opportunity to check out. I've got in the comments the Take Data Seriously breakfast that's going to be coming up in Frederick. If you're in Frederick, or if you know somebody that's in Frederick, be sure to share that with them. Let everybody know that we're going to be coming. Chris, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us here today. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you here in just a few days, because I know you're up there. We'll see each other on Friday.
Sounds
Until
good.
next time, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you then. Take care for now. Bye-bye.